Storm Babet is on the way. When and how could you be affected? Plus, is a typhoon in the Western Pacific partly responsible for our wet and windy weather this week? We will have all the details in this week's Met Office Deep Dive. Thanks for joining me. My name is Alex Deakin. I'm a meteorologist and weather presenter here at Met Office HQ in Exeter in Devon. Lots to get through. The main focus, of course, will be Storm Babet. We'll go through all of the weather warnings that we have in place as this storm system approaches. If you're new to the deep dive, then you might want to hit subscribe because this is exclusive to YouTube. We do them every Tuesday. If you've watched them before, you'll know what it's all about. But if you could hit like, that would be brilliant. And please do keep your comments coming. We do read them, we do love them, and we love your feedback as well. So whether it's constructive criticism or other subjects that you'd like us to cover, we do take them on board. So yeah, thanks for those. Okay, as I said, plenty to get through, and the main focus will be Storm Babet. This little swirl on the satellite image, that is the storm system down to the west of Portugal. It's not your classic system barreling in from the Atlantic. This is coming up from the southwest, and it's quite a mature feature, as we say. It's already bottomed out in terms of its low pressure. It's not being forced along by what's going on high up in the atmosphere, by the jet stream. But what is going to happen as it now meanders its way northwards is a couple of things. It is, first of all, going to be picking up moisture as it tracks its way across the Bay of Biscay. So as we go through tonight, Tuesday night into Wednesday, it's tracking northwards. It's picking up moisture from the Bay of Biscay. It's already got plenty of rain mixed in with it, but it's going to pick up more as it heads northwards. And although it's not being forced and intensified by the jet stream, it is still going to generate some strong winds because as it moves northwards, let's take the jet off for now. As it moves its way northwards, it's coming up against this further north. Across Scandinavia, at the same time as it's tracking north, there's a big area of high pressure building in here. And that is acting like a block. And that means that as Babet pushes northwards, it becomes slow moving, and also the isobars are getting squeeged together like that, which means the winds will be strengthening as that storm system comes northwards, and not your usual winds either. These winds are coming in from the southeast. That is a fairly unusual wind direction, particularly for strong winds across the UK, and that is also part of the problem. So it's becoming slow moving. It's going to drop a lot of rain over quite a lengthy period of time, particularly if you're stuck under the weather fronts, which move in during Wednesday afternoon across the south, but then particularly over parts of northern England as these weather fronts kind of grind to a halt on Wednesday night and into Thursday. And then as it tracks a little further north, by the time we get into Thursday, it becomes very slow moving here. And that's where we're most concerned about across parts of eastern Scotland. That's where we have an amber weather warning in place. I will go through all of the weather warnings in just a moment, but first of all, I just want to rewind the clock back to the here and now and zoom out, and actually zoom out an awful lot. I did show the jet stream earlier, but let's put it on properly because this is quite interesting. Notice how the jet it's a bit messy across or close to the UK. It's arching up to the north. It's quite amplified here. There is a strong jet. Look at this, barreling its way along the eastern seaboard of the United States. And that has been intensified by something that happened even further away a couple of days ago out in the Pacific. So this area of low pressure is quite interesting. The one that is heading its way towards, Alaska and eastern parts of, western parts of Canada, I should say. It's just an area of low pressure now, but a couple of days ago, that low was a typhoon, a pretty powerful typhoon that was even further away in the Pacific, close by to Japan. It started off life down here. Let's put the temperatures on, and it was being driven by the warm waters down here and the warmer air. Since then, over the past couple of days, it has headed northwards and it's crossed the jet stream. So now it's on the colder side of the jet. It's no longer a typhoon, it's just your classic area of low pressure. It's undergone what we call extratropical transition. But because it was so powerful, because it was so intense, it interacted with the jet stream. It gave the jet a bit of an oomph, and that bit of an oomph, a bit like when you flick a skipping rope, if you like, it sends a ripple along the jet stream, and that has moved the jet stream, and it's created this amplification, this push in the jet stream here, which is then dug down here and created this push further north in the jet stream. So not directly, but kind of indirectly, that typhoon from a few days ago on the other side of the world has impacted things close to the UK, because this jet stream is driving to the south. But we've also got this amplification of the jet stream further north, which leaves us in, well, a bit of a hole, if you like. So if we fast forward, as Storm Babet, let's move a bit faster than that. As Storm Babet pushes its way northwards and sits across the UK, the jet is driving south down here towards Spain and Portugal. But further north, look at this, it's moving up to the north and then it's coming down across Scandinavia. Let's just tickle it forward a little bit further, because as we head into Thursday, look at what the jet's doing now. Let's take the pressure off for a second. Look at just what the jet's doing now. It's coming down and it's actually starting to push back towards the UK. The jet stream here, which normally the jet's going from west to east across the Atlantic and in fact around the world. But this arm of the jet stream is coming in here, actually going from east to west. And we are surrounded. The UK is in here. The UK is surrounded by this messy old jet stream. So as a result of that, not just the UK sitting in here, but Storm Babet and all that moisture is stuck in here. So there's nothing to really move it forward, nothing to move it on. So that's why if you get stuck under that weather front, that's why we're going to see a few days worth of potentially heavy and persistent rain, and that is why we are concerned. That's why we have those weather warnings in place. Let's take a look then at the rainfall distribution over the next few days. That's the bigger picture. Here's what's going on this afternoon, Tuesday afternoon. There's some rain heading its way northwards across Northern Ireland. That'll bring in a bit of wet weather overnight, but most places still dry overnight tonight, and indeed for a good part of tomorrow. This is midday tomorrow, midday Wednesday. Look at that, most of Scotland, northern and eastern England still having some fine weather. Yes, that breeze is picking up from the southwest, but actually still for many it's a dry day. So still, for a good part of the country, you're not being affected by Babet until Wednesday night or even Thursday. Further south, however, we will start to notice that storm system. It is trucking its way slowly but surely northwards. The pulses of rain tracking northwards. And let's just pause it there. And let's maybe push it forward to rush hour. So 6, 7 o'clock Wednesday evening. Look at all this rain across the south. Heavy bursts of rain. Travelling tomorrow evening. Rush hour won't be great. The M25, the M4, parts of the M5 down to the southwest. Very wet indeed down here on Wednesday evening. But also notice Northern Ireland seeing some of that heavy rain tracking northwards, and all the while these winds coming in from the east. That's an unusual wind direction, could cause some problems on the coastal strip of East Anglia up towards Lincolnshire. Again, just because of that unusual nature of that wind direction, some coastal erosion is possible, as well as some strong large waves. So it's in the south on Wednesday evening, but it doesn't stop there. The storms, actually, let's just pause it there again, because you can see the swirl now. Let's put the pressure on, because that is Babet sitting right over us. This is Wednesday night into Thursday. There is that storm sitting right over England and Wales, with those winds feeding in and feeding around it. Strong winds further north as well, but still at this stage, eastern Scotland is dry, but it doesn't last. Move forward through Wednesday evening, through into Thursday morning, and just this area of rain continues in this zone here, Northern England, Northern Ireland. So that's the area we're most concerned about Wednesday night and into Thursday. We do have weather warnings in place for that. But then on Thursday, the rain just pushes in, the winds strengthen, and it's this part of the world, Aberdeenshire down to Fife, and particularly the hills here, because the winds, Scotland's used to strong winds, but they're normally coming in this direction. So the feed of moisture in from the North Sea, bringing all that moisture, hitting the hills, the air rises, it rains down. In this zone, we're going to see a lot of rainfall during Thursday and Thursday afternoon, and even into Friday. It still keeps on coming. So some heavy pulses of rain just keep on coming in this part of the world throughout Thursday and into Friday. So that's why we're concerned about the heavy rain here. At the same time, the winds get very lively. We'll talk a bit more about the winds in a second as well, but some very gusty winds as they come up over the hills and down the other side. So some very strong orographic nature to the weather. That's where the hills are involved, bringing some gusty winds here, but also some heavy and persistent rainfall. Let's talk about the warnings then, because there's plenty of them to get through. For more details of them, check out the website or the app, of course. They'll have lots and lots of details on that. But we start with Northern Ireland through Wednesday night as the rain peps up here. Then we have the warning in place for rainfall across northern England into southern Scotland. Then we also have, this is a wind warning covering northern Scotland because of the gusty nature of the winds over the mountain. And the greatest cause for concern is this area here from Aberdeenshire, say down to Fife, where the rainfall is the greatest cause for concern. I'm going to show you a new graphic now, which shows that rain building up over the course of the next few days. Heavy rain, particularly in this part of the world, across parts of eastern Scotland. So, the good man that is Aidan McGivern, who regularly presents the Deep Dive, he has been working on these graphics. These are the next generation of our weather graphics. That's why I can't interact with it. It's just a video showing the rainfall that's coming in. But these will be interactable. Interactable? Is that a word? We will be able to show these within Visual Cortex, our graphic system, very shortly. But Aidan's been working on this graphic which shows the rainfall bars. So it shows where the heavy rain is coming in through Wednesday, Thursday across Northern Ireland, and then the rain building up across northeast England and particularly that part of eastern Scotland. You can see those bars just jumping up there through Friday, and then another pulse of rain. So this is the accumulation of the rainfall building up in this part of the world as those winds bring the moisture in from the North Sea. And here we could easily see 150 millimetres of rain, the possibility of 200 millimetres in some locations, perhaps even a little more than that in this part of the world between now and Saturday. Parts of northeast England also likely to see some very heavy rain, particularly again the hills. The Pennines, you might have thought, would see a lot of rain, obviously, but again, that wind direction means it's going to be falling in a slightly different location on the eastern side. So that is a cause for concern. That's why we have that broad warning in place. Be good to know what you think about these graphics. As I said, Aidan's been working hard on them, newly developed, and we'll have more graphics like this when the new version of our graphics is released in probably a few weeks from now. So let us know in the comments if you like these graphics. If you want to spend a bit more time looking at them, we have posted them on social media, so they're on Twitter, and I believe they may be on Facebook as well, and Instagram. So go and have a look at them and let us know in the comments if you like these graphics, because it's not just going to be rainfall that we can show all kinds of different things in this kind of format. So again, yeah, let us know in the comments what you think about that. But let's get back to the forecast, because we are looking at some pretty heavy rain coming in, as we've seen. Let's break that down for you. This graphic is also available on social media, talking about where we're going to see that rain and when. So it's Wednesday afternoon, evening across Northern Ireland, some of that heavy rain. Further south, parts of Wales, and again, that's to do with the positioning here, getting those easterly winds, the rain not normally falling on that side of the mountains. That's why we could see quite a bit of heavy rain here, causing some issues. The heavier rain then, as that weather front becomes slow moving over northern England, 100 millimetres of rain is possible here. And there's that zone across parts of Scotland where we could see 100 millimetres, 150 millimetres. Some locations over the high ground could see more than 150 millimetres of rain. What does that mean? Well, let's put it into context with October average rainfall. This is showing the average rainfall through October over the 30 years from 1991 to 2020. Western Scotland, not surprisingly, in October gets the most rainfall. But this is the problem with Babet. It's bringing in the rain from another direction. Now, the hills in eastern Scotland still get 100 to 200 millimetres of rain, perhaps, in a month. So we could potentially see a month's worth of rain falling in a few days. And the same goes further south down here. So the eastern side of the Pennines, normally quite a dry zone, only 40 to 60 millimetres of rain. We could see that again in a short space of time, maybe even 100 millimetres of rain. So that is quite useful just for putting into context this rainfall event. We are likely to see some places seeing a month's worth of rainfall in a day, maybe 2 days, perhaps 3. So that's why we are concerned. That's why we have that amber warning in place over eastern parts of Scotland, yellow warnings in place. Do keep up to date with the forecast. It isn't locked in the exact amount of rainfall, the exact timing of that rain because of the messy nature of the jet stream. So do keep up to date with the forecast. Obviously, our warnings are constantly being monitored and checked. Another thing I wanted to talk about was the wind. I did say I'd talk about the wind because that is going to get quite lively. Those wind gusts that we are going to see over the course of the next few days. They're already quite gusty. I had some comments on Twitter actually about the strength of the gusts down across western parts of Cornwall and Devon. Already some strong gusts down here. So this is tracking the strong gusts, wind gusts here. And actually notice here to the lee of the hills down in the far southwest, and the same goes across parts of West Wales. Notice how the wind gusting 40, 50 miles an hour, whereas on this side of the hills, that was quite noticeable. Let's zoom in a bit here. Whoop. A bit more. So notice here, so I'm in East Wales here, the winds are what, 20, gusting 20, maybe 30 miles an hour. But if I just go to the other side of the mountains, notice how those winds jump up 40, 50 mile an hour gusts. And that is because of the mountains and what we call lee gustiness. Fast forward a couple of days and the winds are now stronger up here. So I'm going to Scotland now, in the eastern side, 40, 50 mile an hour gusts. But if I go to the northern parts of the mainland there, look at the gusts up here. 60, close to 70 miles an hour, and that is because of the way the winds are bouncing over the hills. And I'm going to show you, hopefully now, a quick demonstration of why that is, why the winds on the lee side can get very gusty indeed. Let's draw a mountain, first of all. Oh, not in red. Mountains aren't red. Mountains are white. Right, let's draw a mountain. We have a mountain. We have the winds coming in this way. So the winds are coming in. The air is being forced up over the mountain. But crucially, at the moment, or for this setup, above, high in the air up here, I don't want arrows for that. I want a line, a nice chunky line. Up here, we have stable air. So the air up here is what we call stable. That's where it's not rushing up rapidly. There's a temperature inversion. So the temperature in this red zone here is actually rising with height, which means the air can't just continue to rise. As it hits this stable layer, it's got nowhere to go. It's all being squeezed. You've got to squeeze this amount of air through this gap between the stable air and the mountain. And the only thing that can happen there is that the air gets forced through and comes out the other side, moving much, much faster. I didn't want that to be fatter, did I? I need to work on my graphics here. It comes down this side faster than it goes in at this side. So it's coming in here, it's getting pushed up, it can't go up, it's being squeezed by the mountain. The only way for it to go is accelerate it out the other side of the mountain. As a result of that, down this side, on the lee side, you get some strong gusts. That's called lee gustiness, and that's one of the reasons why we're concerned about the strength of the wind across northwestern parts of Scotland as we go through Thursday and into Friday. Hope that made sense. I will work on my drawing skills, I promise. What happens after that? Okay, so we've talked a lot about Storm Babet and what it's going to do. Let's take a look further ahead. We know that it's tracking northwards. We know it's going to bring a lot of rain. This is the situation by Friday. Let's take the jet off. We've talked about that. This is the situation by Friday. The potential for everything to start just drifting back further south and the easterly winds to take control of our weather. So that's Friday. And this is Saturday. But this is Saturday according to the Met Office model. By Saturday, our model is developing a little low in here, just over northeastern parts of England, which is squeezing the isobars close together here, generating even stronger winds across eastern Scotland. And with that low here, that's going to generate a lot of uplift and a lot more rain in this part of the world. So if this were to happen, this would be quite concerning. That would generate a lot of rain in eastern Scotland. Now, thankfully, at the moment, we don't think that is the most likely scenario. If we compare the Met Office model, so this is just another way of looking at what we've just looked at. There's the low in there over northeast England, generating a strong wind and a lot of rain across eastern Scotland. This is for Saturday. Compare that with the European model. Now, it's not a million miles away. It's still got an easterly wind. There's the UK. It is still generating some showery rain, but crucially, it doesn't have the low pressure in here. That is crucial because we're not going to have the forcing. You're just going to have some showers feeding in from the North Sea. So the rain isn't going to be as intense. And if we compare the total amounts of rainfall from those two different models, so this is the UKMO, the Met Office model here, for the rainfall accumulation for Saturday. And that's generating another 90 millimetres of rain. That's on top of what we're going to see from Storm Babet. Another 90 millimetres of rain, whereas the European model here generating far less. It's just bringing in some showers and 20 millimetres of rain. As I said, we think that this is much more likely, and one of the reasons we think that's much more likely is from an ensemble postage stamp outlook from the Met Office model. So this is back to the Met Office model, but when we run it lots and lots of times, yes, the main one, the deterministic model, has that low pressure system. But when you run it lots and lots of times, not many of these, apologies if you can't see it very well, we'll go full screen, you can see it a bit better, but not many of these are actually showing that low across northeastern England. Yes, they're showing an easterly wind, but they don't have that low. So that's the main reason the ensemble, the multi-run model, and the fact that the European model doesn't have that low pressure. We're hopeful that that won't happen because, as I said, that would generate even more rain after Storm Babet, and that would cause potentially even more problems. So thankfully, that doesn't look likely at this stage, but it is something we need to keep an eye on. What is quite likely is that we will in some way see that easterly wind picking up and bringing in a chill as we go through next week. Through the weekend and into the part of next week. Still low pressure nearby, so staying showery through the weekend, and it could turn a little bit colder. But lots to play for with that, and of course that is all tied in with the position of the jet stream and what we looked at earlier on. Aidan, I'm going to say Aidan, yes, Aidan tomorrow doing the 10-day trend. He will have lots more on that and the potential as we go through the weekend and into next week. So lots going on with the weather. Please do keep up to date. There could be further updates to the warnings for sure. So the Met Office app, the Met Office website are best for that. Keep up to date with what's going on with Environment Agency, SEPA and NRW, National Resources Wales as well, because they may well be busy this week as well with the potential for some flooding. So make sure you're following those guys across social media, as well as the Met Office across social media as well. Please do keep your comments coming. Let us know what you think about those graphics as well. And do hit subscribe if you're not already subscribed to this channel, and do hit like if you've enjoyed what you've seen. But that's it from me for this week's Deep Dive. Goodbye.